Hello and welcome back to Clear Skye Thinking. Today we're going to have our last full day on Skye. Day 6, almost at the end. The following day is a Friday, and when I wake, it's with the knowledge that this marks the end of my holiday. When I first came to the small Scottish island with its sub-30,000 population, I couldn't wait for my exile to end. Now, however, my impending departure feels uncomfortably bittersweet. Part of me is relieved that I'll be able to go back to London soon. I don't really want to stay in Skye, despite the endless allure of its manifold mountains and numerous sheep. All of my friends are back in London, and so is my future. There are significantly more things to do and see in the city too. I'm not completely happy about this though. I can't bring myself to be. Today might be the last full day I'll spend in Skye. But it's also the last day I'll spend with Piper. I never thought I'd grow to like her as much as I do, but she's grown on me like the spores of a parasitic mushroom. In the beginning, I was worried she'd be every bit as brash, loud, and obnoxious as her dad, but while Piper does share some of his traits, she's much more palatable than he is. She's kind and funny and earnest, and I don't want to say goodbye to her, not just yet. It would be nice if we could spend a little more time together, but that's not going to happen. It'll all be over when tomorrow comes. I'll be back on the ferry to Mallaig. Then, from Mallaig, there'll be the 12-hour car journey to London to look forward to. That'll put about 600 miles between me and Piper. Will I ever see her again? It seems unlikely. I just wish... Hey, Ellie? Piper's hand descends before my face. She waves it to and fro, and I blink. Are you all right? Oh, yeah, I'm fine. Are you sure? You've been awful quiet ever since we got here. By here, Piper means Portree. For our last day in Skye, Hilda decided to take me and my dad here, to Skye's largest town, with a staggering population of about 2,000. Located by the sea, Portree is bordered by water on one side and green hilly mountains on the other. The town itself, with its streets full of jumbled cottages, feels cramped and claustrophobic, all hemmed in among the rolling highlands. The streets of the town themselves are rather rustic, small and skinny, lined with shops selling useless trinkets, no doubt meant to appeal to tourists. Piper and I already ducked into some of those shops, examining all the bits and bobs, my mom would call it tat, and come to think of it, Piper's mom probably would too, on display. We fingered woven dream catchers, prodded bits of rose quartz, and perused shelves stacked with small ceramic fairies and mermaids. Now that we're already done with the shops, for a so-called tourist town, there weren't that many to look at. The streets of Portree have exhausted their potential. The harbour is Portree's real point of interest, however, and we've yet to explore all that has to offer. That's where Piper and I are now. We're promenading along the harbour, taking in the sights. The harbour is probably the prettiest part of Portree, and it's also the liveliest. Most of the independent cafes and restaurants can be found here, located on the seafront. There's a second-hand bookshop, a charity store, and even more touristy shops hawking pointless, overpriced baubles. I swear I've seen the ceramic fairies on display in that window before. They must have sisters and gift shops all across Skye. For being so small, they're actually kind of ugly. Their faces odd, roughly painted and blocky. The shops that run along Portuguese harbour have been painted a myriad of pastel colours. They're in alternating shades of white, pink, mint green and creamy yellow, a little like blocks of ice cream in a container of Neapolitan. I wonder if there's a brown chocolate-inspired storefront? Cars are parked all along the harbour, their shells glinting in the sunlight. Tourists and locals alike walk by, some holding ice creams or cups of coffee. A man passes on a bicycle, a potted plant wedged under his arm. Compared to the streets of London, this place is still pretty dead. When compared with the rest of Skye, however, it seems like a booming, bustling metropolis. I can see why Hilda saved this place for last on our travel itinerary. After the quiet desolation of Dunscave and the Quillen, this makes quite the impression. Yeah, it does look quite pretty with the houses. It's not been making such an impression, however, that I've been able to tear my mind away from my eventual departure. Thinking about it stings. It's like having salt water being applied to a wound.
So, what do you think of Portugal? There's not much here, is there?
It's quiet, yes. But that can be nice from time to time.
I bet it can, if you're used to London, but Skye's always quiet. This is more of the same old, same old.
You make it sound like you resent this place.
I don't know if I resent it really. Skye can't help having such a tiny population. Maybe I do resent my father though, just a teensy tiny bit, for dragging the family all the way out here. He said the ad'd be good for our health. Maybe he was right. I don't know if it was worth the trade-off though.
You are very energetic. You play netball, don't you?
Yeah, that's right. How'd you know? I didn't tell you, did I?
Your dad mentioned it a few days ago.
Oh, he would. He loves boasting about me. It's a shame my grades are so average he can't show off about those. I think I'm probably a disappointment, actually, as far as daughters go. Dad always said he's proud of me, bless him, but when it comes to Mum, her standards are so high, I don't think I can measure up to them. I'm pretty sure I'm not the daughter she wanted. I guess it's sad for her that I'm the daughter she wound up with.
Has your mother told you that?
Not to my face, no. I can see it in her eyes though. When she looks at me, she's always wishing I was more refined, more well-mannered, more ladylike. It's like the current me is not good enough. Maybe I'll never be good enough. It's hard. But I know she still loves me, and I love her. I love Dad too. I love Dad a lot too, though he brought me here. Sometimes I wish he hadn't. But this place is very pretty.
Piper looks around the harbour. The multicolored facades of the myriad shops and cafes are charming, like something from an old-timey postcard. I think this might be a nice place to do a photo shoot, particularly for sweet lolitas. It's not every day you see a baby pink house. Some of the paint's chipped off the pastel pink house and those surrounding it during the years, and the exterior's a little stained, but that's nothing that can't be fixed in post-processing. I don't think today's court of choice would match this pastel wonderland of a backdrop though. I might be a Lolita, but I don't have much pink in my wardrobe. I prefer browns and greens and blues. Speaking of photos, I bet my dad'll be having a field day taking snaps of this place. He's taken about 1 billion photos on our holiday thus far, but what's 1 billion more? Let the man have his hobby. I wonder if he'll show the photographs to Mom when we get back from holiday. What will she make of them? Knowing her aesthetic sense, she'd probably wrinkle her nose and call it kitschy. She wouldn't be wrong either. The natty tourist shops and the art galleries filled with pictures of seagulls are kitschy. I think they're kind of cute though. Portree's definitely cuter than the ruins of Dunscaith. Not that that's a high bar to clear.
Hey, Ellie, it'll be at least an hour until we go for lunch and I'm getting kind of hungry.
Again? I stared at Piper disbelievingly. You're always hungry.
What? You mean to say you don't get peckish? We're all humans and we've all got to eat food to live. Don't tell me you're too good to ingest sustenance through your mouth hole from time to time.
I never said that. You're being ridiculous.
It's what I do best.
Piper offers me a cheeky grin and I sigh. I only had breakfast a few hours ago. It was another heavy English breakfast whipped up by my dad, using the last of the bacon and sausages and beans. I didn't eat all that much of it, but the little I did eat is still sitting in the pit of my stomach, greasy and fatty and uncomfortably heavy. I might as well have swallowed a paperweight.
I had breakfast a few hours ago too, but it was one of my mom's breakfasts. It was all healthy stuff, granola and Greek yogurt. Ugh. I'm desperate for some real food.
Granola sounds pretty good to me, actually.
What? No way, you can't mean that. Ali, you traitor.
I had some earlier today as well. Sorry. I do though. Your mother has good taste, when it comes to food at least. I think I'd prefer Hilda's dainty, calorie-conscious meals to my father's plates of pure, unadulterated grease.
Oh, Ellie, I'm disappointed in you. I thought that you were my friend.
I am your friend. That doesn't mean I have to agree with every single one of your ideas, though. I glanced at the baggy pockets of Piper's jacket, eyes narrowed, as though I might be able to see through them. You don't have another tuna sandwich stashed in there, do you?
What? Oh, no, I learned my lesson after what happened last time. I wouldn't want you being mobbed by any more seagulls, my fair princess.
Oh, good. That's a relief, if nothing else. There aren't quite as many seagulls by Portree's Harbour as there were by Neast Point, but if I've learned anything during my trip to Scotland, it's that seabirds are very, very persistent. They're almost as bad as the pigeons in London, I mean, jeez. No, I think seagulls are way worse than pigeons when it comes to stealing food. And those birds appeared with inhuman, well, they are birds, speed the moment they caught a whiff of Piper's smuggled sandwich. I think they multiplied even quicker than the loaves of bread and fish in that one parable. I ate the rest of the picnic leftovers last night after I got home from the beach. All the sandwiches and cheese and onion pasties are gone now. That's why I was stuck with granola. It's all so sad. I want to eat something sweet.
There's a shop nearby that sells all sorts of chocolates, and the hot chocolate is really good too. They're piled high with cream and marshmallows and caramel sauce. Nobody can resist it. Don't you want to check it out?
Well, I feel my resolve wavering. I try not to snack between meals, but I am partial to chocolate. Who isn't? It's warm today, but not overly so, and hot chocolate sounds tempting. It might be decadent, but I'm on holiday. I should be allowed to treat myself. Alright, fine. I guess I can check it out.
Alright, I knew you'd change your tune soon enough. Let's go, and quickly.
Do we need to go quickly? It's not like the store's going to go anywhere. I try to protest, but Piper doesn't listen. Her hand finds my own, and our fingers twine together. She's holding my hand. Does she realize what she's doing? Maybe not. In her current, almost manic state, all Piper can think about is chocolate. It's corroded her mind. She's losing her sense of self-control. Piper dashes ahead, dragging me along behind her. Well, this is a surprise. I didn't think I'd run into you again. But Piper stops just as abruptly as she started. Her mouth hangs open, but no noise comes out. It makes her look like a fish. Of course it's her.
Now that's no way of saying hello. Why are you gawping, Piper?
You'd best shut that big mouth of yours, or flies will get in. Kendall McKinnon grins, her eyes lined with a sweep of smoky black liner that makes her look oddly feline. This time, Kendall isn't alone. She's being flanked on both sides by a couple of girls I've never seen before. One of the girls has fair blonde hair, cut into a neat bob, and the other is a redhead like Piper, with a fine spray of freckles across her upturned nose. Both the girls are wearing makeup, and their clothes are relatively fashionable. At a glance, they seem to be about my age. They must be 17, maybe 18. Are they Piper's classmates? Wait, that's a stupid question. There's only one secondary school in all of Skye, so unless these schools go to school on the mainland, they must be. Hey, Piper, who are these two girls? I thought I was being discreet, but Kendall must have sensitive hearing. Her lips curl into a self-satisfied smile. Who does she think she is? The Queen? As she chills. Yes, Piper, why don't you make the introductions? You wouldn't want to look rude, would you?
Your mother's always getting on your case about your manners. Don't disappoint her more than you already have.
Oh, I think it might be too late for that. The three girls look at one another, no doubt sharing a secret joke, and snicker. I don't know these girls, but I can't say I like them very much. They're not making a good impression.
Well...
Piper glances between them, suddenly cowed.
That's Laurie.
She gestures to the blonde.
And that's Shelby.
She gestures to the redhead.
And this is Alice. She's Piper's brand new friend, all the way from London. I talked to you about her before, remember?
Oh yes, you said that the clothes were very... interesting. Aren't they though? She looks just like the funny old bisque dolls my great-aunt collects. I wonder if that's supposed to be a compliment. Knowing Kendall, probably not.
I've never seen anybody dressed like that before. Is it some kind of fad? A fashion statement?
It's a fashion style that started in Japan. It's called Lolita and it's quite niche.
I can see why. Who'd want to dress up like a lampshade?
Hey Shelby, you can't say that.
Why not? I'm just saying what we're all thinking.
The three girls look between one another, then burst into peals of amused laughter. I guess my initial assessment of these girls was right on the money. They're not just unpleasant, they're downright rancid. That's a good word for them. At least this is the only time I'll have to deal with them. That's one silver lining to this cloud, I guess. I wish my last full day on Skye hadn't been soured like this, though. I wanted to spend my time with Piper, just the two of us.
Hey, Alice, you've been here a while now, haven't you?
Only 5 days. Why?
Only, she says.
Kendall raises a neatly plucked eyebrow.
For most people, that would feel like a small century. Living here is like serving a life sentence.
I don't mind it all that much, but there isn't much to do here. I don't think I'd like to go here on holiday.
Me neither. I can't wait to get shot of this place.
I think we're all in agreement here. That's just common sense. We're all sick of Skye.
But what about you, Alice? Do you like this place? You'd never be able to dress like that if you went here. Everybody would call you a freak.
Freak's a little harsh, but yeah, it's unusual. Skye's small, so you don't want to stand out too much. It can create problems. As I'm sure Piper knows. Is it a problem that I'm here?
Oh no, I didn't say that. It's just, well, it might be a problem if you stay here too much longer.
Was that a threat? It sounds like it, but I doubt there's anything Shelby could feasibly do to me. She doesn't look the sort who'd start fights. Well, I won't be here much longer. I'm leaving tomorrow. As for Skye itself, I glance at Piper. She's being very quiet, unusually so. Now we're being confronted by her classmates. Though, given the way they're looking at her, I doubt mates is the right way to describe them. They're acting more like they're her deadly enemies. I didn't think I'd like it at first, but I guess I had fun here. I got to see some interesting places. And I'm glad I made a new friend.
A new friend, is it? Are you sure that's all it is? That's what Arya thought too.
Poor thing. She was so surprised. I don't think it was very fair of you, Piper, to say all those things you did to her.
It's no wonder she isn't speaking to you anymore. I know I wouldn't. You guys, please. Don't talk about that now. It has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with us. I'm on the netball team too, and we have to use the same changing rooms. Do you know how awkward it is for the rest of us getting undressed in the same room as you when... Stop it! Don't say anything else. Not in front of Ellie. So you care what she thinks that much, huh? If you really valued your so-called friendship, wouldn't you have told her by now?
It's not right to lie to your friends.
Exactly. If Arya had known that you were what you were after from the beginning, I doubt she would have stuck around so long. You tricked her. As if anybody would want to be friends with a person like you. Now, let's not be so hard on poor Piper. She can't help being the way she is. I do feel sorry for the girls on the nutball team, though. You should talk to Mrs. McCracken. Maybe she'll ask Piper if she can change in the toilets instead. We already did. It didn't work. She said she couldn't single anybody out like that. Apparently it's discriminatory.
Shelby makes quotation marks with her fingers.
As if Piper's the one suffering. It's alright for her, staring at us in our underwear. Being with her gives me the heebie-jeebies. I'm sure Arya feels the same. That's why she left you. And I bet Alice will do the same. You're not the sort of person you can keep hold of your friends, Piper. That's just the way you are.
I've heard she's not the best at keeping the ball either.
She made so many misses during our last match. We were able to scrape a win, but it's no thanks to her. Piper gets terrible grades and she's awful at sports too. What is she good at anyway? Making everybody feel uncomfortable. Hey, you're right. I guess that's one thing she can do.
Candle laughs, and Shelby and Laurie join in, Laurie with a bit of prompting. During this exchange, I've gathered that Laurie's the more mild-mannered member of this group, the voice of reason, as it were. She doesn't seem overtly malicious. I think she's just going along with her friends. Which isn't much better, if we're being quite honest, but oh well. Maybe that's the easiest thing to do when you live on a small island like Skye. You can't go against the majority. If you do, you'll find yourself being singled out. It must be stifling. I can't imagine how isolated Piper's been. I can't help but feel sorry for her. But my pity isn't going to help anything. It won't give us more time together. This is the last day. Shelby was right in a way. I am going to wind up leaving her. I don't have a choice. Well, that was unpleasant. That's all we're going to see of the day. Oh, that's just sad. Piper visits me later that night, as has become her custom, and the two of us go on another stroll along Artvisar's seafront. We pause by the ruins of the old boat, its wooden frame half rotted, and stare out at the grimy water. For a while, neither of us speak. We're content to simply stand there, lost in our own respective silences. But eventually, the silence becomes too much for me to endure. This is my last day on Skye. It's now or never. If I don't at least try to understand all Piper's going through, I'll never get the chance. I need to say something to her. I have to. Hey, Piper?
Yes, Ellie? What is it?
I was just wondering, I pause. My determination is beginning to waver. I thought I'd already made up my mind, but it's surprisingly hard to get the question out. This is a delicate subject, and I don't want to risk upsetting her. Thankfully, Piper seems to know what I'm getting at, because she smiles and says,
It's all right, Ellie. I know what you want to ask. This is about Kendall, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. I wanted to know why she holds such a grudge against you. I know you said it was because you trapped her fingers, but it seems like something more than that. She acts like she really hates you.
I know she does, and I'm not surprised. My whole existence offends her, and Shelby and Laurie too, though at least Laurie has the decency to try and act nice about it. The others at school aren't so thoughtful. Not even Arya.
Piper grits her teeth together. Her fingers find the woven friendship bracelet which still hangs about her right wrist. The bracelet is comprised of numerous knotted cords in rainbow colors: red, orange, yellow, and purple. The bracelet's obviously old. The cord is frayed and it looks like it's been knotted and reknotted multiple times. The rainbow colors of the cord are starting to fade from old age. The red is more akin to pink, the purple a wan sort of lavender. If Arya gave Piper this bracelet when they were in year 7, it must be 5, maybe 6 years old by now. Has Piper worn it this whole time? Talk about dedication. I'm surprised it hasn't fallen to pieces yet, just like Piper and Arya's friendship so obviously has. Hey, Piper. I don't want to make you feel uncomfortable, and I promise I won't judge you, no matter what you say. You don't even need to reply to me, not if you don't want. But I was wondering, you weren't just friends with Arya, were you? Piper stiffens. Her face tenses up, then appears to collapse in on itself. She hasn't replied, either in the affirmative or the negative, not yet at least, but this reaction tells me all I need to know. Piper stammers, embarrassed. She continues to toy with the friendship bracelet, tugging at it so hard I'm afraid it might snap. Then again, that might be for the best.
What are you talking about, Ellie?
Piper tries to sound light, unconcerned, but I can see just how much I've rattled her. She can't put on a naive, unknowing facade. I've already figured everything out. You weren't just friends with Arya. Or maybe you were, but you didn't want to be. You had a crush on... You had a crush on her, didn't you?
Oh, Ellie.
Piper looks at me. Her eyes shine with tears. She tries to blink them away, but even more tears well up to replace them.
You're right. It's embarrassing to talk about, so I didn't want to mention it, but... Yeah. I didn't just like Arya. I loved her. I loved her a whole lot, and I was sure she loved me too. She even told me as much. She got my hopes up. But no, that isn't fair. It wasn't her fault. I got my own hopes up. It's because I'm so stupid. I shouldn't have assumed. I was such an idiot.
Piper continues to sniffle sadly. Her tears are dripping down her cheeks now, thick and viscous, almost like drops of honey.
I confessed to her a few months ago, over the Christmas holidays. I'd wanted to confess for a really, really long time, but I thought that'd be the best moment. I wanted it to be romantic. We went on a walk together. She was wearing a scarf I made her. I knitted it myself. It was pretty bad. I'm terrible at fiddly tasks like that. But Aria said she liked it. When she opened my present, she looked so happy. I took that as a sign. We came to this beach where we are right now, and then I said,
Piper doesn't elaborate further on what she said, but she doesn't need to. I think I've got the gist of it. She told Aria that she didn't dislike her. She'd fallen in love with her. She'd tried to repress it for months and months, maybe even years, but it had gotten too hard. She didn't want to be Aria's friend. She wanted to be her girlfriend.
Aria was my only friend. I didn't want to lose her. I loved her. I told myself I'd try to rein my feelings in. I didn't want to scare her. I was even prepared to write it all off as a joke if she reacted badly. But I couldn't. I'd been hiding my feelings for too long. It was too painful. When I opened my mouth, I was already lost. All my feelings came rushing out. It was like a flood. I told Aria everything. I must have talked for like 5 minutes, maybe more. I ramble when I get nervous, and I was super nervous then. My feelings must have hit her like a landslide. The whole while I talked, Aria just stood there, staring at me. She looked so lost, surprised, maybe even betrayed. She didn't look happy at all. I knew it was no good, but I kept pressing on. I tried to sway her. I wanted to change her mind. I thought if I showed her how earnest I was, she might reconsider. But I was wrong. You can't change people's feelings like that. It doesn't matter how much you love them. If they don't love you back, there's nothing you can do.
Piper sniffs. She rubs her eyes with her arm yet again, using even more force this time.
She told me to give it up. She said she didn't like girls, and after knowing how I felt about her and how much I liked her, she said I was being creepy. She told me I'd made her uncomfortable. She said she was sorry, but she couldn't be my friend anymore. She ran off, and then she left me, and then...
Piper's fingers clench at her sides. I can see her knuckles standing out beneath her skin.
That was it. Our friendship was over. It was all ruined. I ruined it. Because I liked her too much. If that had been the end of it, maybe that would have been alright. We could have recovered. I'd have been lonely without Aria. She was pretty much my only friend. But I could have dealt with it. I told myself it'd be alright. But it didn't end there. Aria must have talked to somebody. I don't know who. I guess it doesn't matter. When school started up again in January and I came back, everybody seemed to know what had happened.
even kids in the years below me. They were all gossiping about it. Some of my classmates felt sorry for me, I think, but most of them thought it was hilarious. Kendall started joking about it, and her friends all joined in. They said things, horrible things. They acted like I had some kind of contagious disease. The girls on the netball team were even worse. They complained about using the same changing rooms as me. Like I'd want to see them in their underwear. I'm not interested in any of them, especially not Shelby. The only person I liked was Aria. I thought she liked me too. But when I saw her at school, she was acting like a different person. She'd stopped wearing her old friendship bracelet, and she stopped hanging out with me. She was so distant. She knew that I was being teased, but she didn't stand up for me the way she used to. She ignored me. She acted like I was dead to her. Maybe I could have died. I doubt she would have cared. It was almost like we were never friends at all. Maybe she never really cared. Now everybody knows. All my classmates and their parents. Even the teachers. My own parents found out, and Mom wasn't very happy. She didn't say anything too horrible, not to my face at least, but she made it very apparent that I disappointed her. She said even her colleagues were talking about it at the stupid charity store, and why didn't you think about my feelings? Now Prue and Mary are laughing about us behind our backs. Why do you have to make yourself the center of attention? Why can't you just be normal? She made it sound like I did all of this on purpose. I think she thinks I wanted this to happen, just so I could score points against her or show her up or... Oh, I don't know. My mom's so ridiculous. She always fusses about appearances like it even matters. It's always smile, Piper, and mind your manners, Piper, and make a good first impression, Piper. But who's she trying to impress anyway? She doesn't even seem to care that I'm being bullied. I think she thinks I deserve it for daring to show her up with all my inconvenient emotions. I couldn't help falling in love with Aria. I didn't do it to punish my mother, but I sometimes wish I could. I wish I could punish every single person who laughed at me or made fun of me, all for having a crush on my ex-best friend and being too stupid to keep it to myself. I should have known this would happen. This place is way too small. Everybody knows everybody else and they're all so close-minded. I've tried to deal with it, but it's hard on my own. I hate it. It's not fair. Piper turns to me, her face burning. Her chest is heaving with ragged breaths, and her eyes are damp and watery like two twin pools. She looks disheveled. Piper's not exactly a pretty crier. Like everything else about her, her emotions are heavy, tumultuous, almost uncontrollable. But I think there's something almost impressive about how unapologetic she is. Piper's right. It isn't fair. Why should she have to apologize? She didn't do anything wrong. I wanted to keep this from you, Allie. I didn't want you getting involved in any of this. It doesn't have anything to do with you. And I wanted to forget about it too. I was worried. If you knew the truth, you'd turn against me, like the others did. I'd like to think I'm pretty tough, but there's only so much teasing I can take. You don't agree with Kendall, do you? Do you think I'm strange? No, I don't. I've only known Piper for a short while, but my feelings towards her haven't changed. I still like her. In fact, now I know how much she's had to deal with, I think I like her more than ever before. My feelings towards you haven't changed. I'm glad that you asked me to be your friend, and I don't think there's anything wrong with you. You might be a bit strange, but so am I. I mean, look at the way I dress. I don't think you've done anything to be ashamed of. Anybody who says otherwise is wrong. They're the stupid ones, not you, your mother included. You haven't done anything to feel guilty about.
Ellie. Oh, Ellie.
Piper's face fills with relief. She steps towards me, her ponytail bouncing, and I move forwards to meet her. Her arms envelop me, her fingers resting against the small of my back, and I embrace her in return. Piper's held me like this before on 2 occasions during my escapades across Skye. The first time was back in Dunscape, after I tripped and turned my ankle. The second was at East Point, when I was harassed by a dive-bombing seagull. Both times, my heart pounded and my skin began to prickle. Back then, I wasn't sure why I was reacting in such a strange way. But I think I'm beginning to understand my own feelings. I've known Piper for less than a week, but I've gotten pretty attached to her. She made my time in Skye worthwhile. I liked exploring with her, and I liked listening to all her stories, and I liked lecturing her in turn about my clothes. I liked taking walks with her and dressing her up, and I even liked those stupid games of Scrabble that we played. Piper's smiling face cheered me up when my own mood was at its bleakest. Now that she's crying, I want nothing more than to console her in return. Piper might have been honest with me, but I haven't returned the favor. Not properly. I told her that I liked her, but I think my feelings are more complicated than that. I don't think I've ever felt this way about anybody else. This is all new to me, and it's a little scary. It's a bit overwhelming. But Piper confessed to me despite her anxieties. She was brave. Now it's my turn. I look into Piper's eyes, my arms still wound about her middle. Her hair is messy and her jacket still slipping from her shoulder. Her face is damp and blotchy from crying, but the smile on her face is positively luminous. Hey, Piper, this might be kind of sudden, I'm a bit confused about this myself, but if you're not interested, it's fine. I understand. I don't want to make you feel uncomfortable, but... well,
Silly Ellie. You couldn't make me feel uncomfortable even if you tried.
Are you sure about that?
I'm positive.
You have too much faith in yourself. I remember how much you squirmed when I tried to fix your eye makeup. You were terrified of the eyeliner pencil. You wouldn't keep still.
Oh, fine. If you want to get all nitpicky about it, I guess you're right. That did make me uncomfortable, but who wants to stick a sharp, pointy pencil near the eyes? I might make a lot of dumb decisions, but I don't get a thrill out of being tortured.
I don't want to be tortured either.
Then how do you justify doing so much crap to your face on a daily basis? I'd go crazy.
My makeup isn't crap. It's important to me, and I've had years of practice. You'll be surprised how much you can learn through YouTube videos.
And you're very dedicated to your art. I'm impressed. I could never.
You could, you just don't want to. There's a difference.
But I thought you said I looked fine without makeup.
You do. I think so, at least.
Then I don't see the problem.
There's no problem. You're fine the way you are. That's how I like you. I mean, now we've gone helplessly off topic, and I'm getting all tongue-tied. I've seen confession scenes in movies before, but they're usually dramatic scenes. They tend to involve snowy streets or airports or frantic chase sequences. Intense orchestral music swells in the background, building to a fever pitch as the confessor tracks down the confessee and says, "Well, what am I supposed to say exactly? My mind's gone blank." I've seen rom-coms before, during sleepovers mostly, but I never paid that much attention. I never cared for the male love interests, no matter how rugged or well-dressed or attractive they were supposed to be. Back then, I figured I was just a late bloomer. Now, I think I've learned the real reason behind my antipathy towards romance movies. I like pretty princesses, but I never liked their princes. I like fair-haired girls in full dresses, like Momoko from Kamikaze Girls, but I equally like the cool leather jacket-clad Ichigo. I've never been attracted to men, but a tomboyish girl like Piper might not be so bad. I've already come to terms with the fact that I like Piper. I just need to let her know. It's all or nothing. I think I have a crush on you.
Huh? Me?
Piper stares at me, dumbfounded.
But I don't wear makeup. I dress like a boy and have size 13 feet. I am so not your type.
And how do you know what my type is exactly?
I don't know. I figured if you did like girls, you'd like pretty fair-haired girls like, I don't know, Candle maybe?
Oh please, are you trying to offend me here? Candle is pretty, sure, but she's so smug and self-satisfied. She's nothing at all like you.
She's not, you're right. I'm a dummy.
And I must be too, 'cause I like you all the same.
Really? You're not just saying that to cheer me up, are you?
No. Why would you think that? I'm being serious.
Oh, I don't know. After Arya turned me down, I figured nobody'd ever like me back. I didn't think I had a chance. I thought you were pretty when I first met you too, Ellie. You're serious, but that's part of your charm. I like you a lot too. And I think you're one of the sweetest people I've ever met.
Piper ducks her head as she speaks. The motion is brash, clumsy, perhaps a little impulsive, but I think part of me was expecting it. I want to kiss her too. This is the last evening I'll spend on Skye. It's the last time I'll be able to spend time with Piper, and I want to make the most of it. I might not be Arya, but I don't think that matters. The way I dress is so unusual, I doubt Piper could confuse me or substitute me with anybody else. I am me, and Piper is Piper. We're both two awkward teenagers. And we both like each other a lot. In the grand scheme of things, I guess our relationship's not all that special. But it's still special to us. No matter how much distance there is between us, I know that I won't forget this moment. This was my very first kiss, and I'm glad I was able to share it with somebody I care about. I feel lighter than air as I walk back to the holiday home, down the darkened streets of Arkansas. The kiss is all I can think of during the walk, the sensation of Piper's lips against my own, however fleetingly. It wasn't a particularly deep kiss, it didn't linger. I think both Piper and I were too self-conscious to try anything extreme, but that doesn't change how much that moment meant to me. The cool breeze which buffets my hair isn't enough to dispel the blush which has captured my cheeks. It's a bit like that old song, the one my dad likes to play when he's in a good mood, which isn't all that often, now that I think about it. I might as well be walking on sunshine. I'm definitely walking with sunshine, despite it being so late. Piper walks me back like she did yesterday, only this time she takes the liberty of threading her fingers through mine. I can feel her palm bumping against my own with every step I take, but I don't mind it. I like the comfortable familiarity of it all. I like being with her. My palm feels a little sweaty despite the cold weather, but that's alright too. For once, I don't feel self-conscious. Why should I worry about being sweaty around Piper? She's already seen me in floods of tears, for goodness sake, with my mascara smeared all across my cheeks. Besides, her palm's just as, if not even more, sweaty than mine. This time, when we arrive back to the Kirklands' old home, Piper doesn't excuse herself on the doorstep. Instead, she comes inside with me into the living room to make sure I'm alright, or so she claims. All the while, she doesn't disentangle her hand from mine. Our fingers are still entwined when we shuffle indoors, something I think my dad might have noticed. He's good enough not to comment on my newfound closeness with Piper, however, something I appreciate him for. Rather than making any insinuating remarks, he smiles blithely and says, "Hey, Ellie, and Piper too. I hope you girls had a good time." Oh, I'm sure my dad doesn't mean any ill by it. He's just trying to show an interest, but my flushed face gets even hotter. Hastily, I draw my hand away from Piper's. If Dad didn't notice we were holding hands before, I'm sure he's realized it now, and murmur, it was alright, I guess." I'm glad to hear it. Did you two get up to anything fun? I guess Piper and I did have quite a bit of fun, if kissing beneath the moonlight counts. I think it definitely does, but it's not like I can tell my dad that. I might be pretty close with my dad, but that's one line I don't want to cross. I need some privacy. I open my mouth and close it again, feeling decidedly out of my element. Maybe Piper should have pushed off at the doorstep after all, but...
Yeah, we did.
Piper comes to my defense like any brave knight in shining armor. Though she's not wearing armor, she's still wearing her old green coat with her equally green jacket underneath. Still, it's the thought that counts.
I was showing Ellie how to skip stones. She was hopeless at it in the beginning, but she's gotten pretty good at it now. Isn't that right, Ellie?
Oh, yes. I seize upon this ready-made excuse, though I'm sure the flush on my face is giving the game away. Still, I'd rather talk about skipping stones than snogging, and it's not strictly untrue either. Piper has shown me how to skip stones before. She wasn't the best of teachers, but she tried. I guess we gotta get carried away, so the time just flew by. It was nice, having a bit of a workout. Good. I knew you'd warm to Skye, Ellie. You complained so much in the beginning, but it looks like the sea has invigorated you. You have such roses in your cheeks. Roses, huh? Sure, let's go with that. It's not like my face is red because I'm still thinking about that kiss with Piper or anything. It's a relief that my dad's chosen to play dumb. Or maybe he really is dumb? Has he really not noticed what's going on? But Piper seems to think this is hilarious. She grins coyly, her arms behind her back, then says,
Yeah, Michael's right. Your face is all flushed, Ellie. I haven't been pushing you too hard, have I? Maybe all of that stone throwing was a little too strenuous for a fair maiden like you.
Oh, she thinks she's being so smooth. I can tell she's enjoying this, holding the secret over my dad's head like he doesn't know. Her smile is positively impish. I don't think I've ever seen her look so devious before. Apart from that time when we went to Armadale Castle maybe, and she was swiping bits of food from underneath Ian's fork. She seemed to enjoy that too. I guess Piper's pretty competitive, as if our numerous games of Scrabble didn't tell me that already. In any case, I don't dig into the real reason why my face is so flushed. I don't need to. Piper is already aware, and if my dad isn't, well, what he doesn't know won't hurt him. I look away from Piper, harumphing, my arms folded across my chest. Then, my voice tight, I murmur. Yeah, maybe it was a bit too strenuous. Today was quite a workout. In more ways than one. And I'm feeling a little tired. Maybe I should have a bath.
Alright then, don't let me keep you. I hope you have a nice long soak, Ellie. And a nice long sleep too. I know how important your beauty rest is.
Are you implying I need it or I look ugly?
No, of course not. I don't think you could look ugly even if you tried. I still thought you were very pretty even when your face was covered in smears of mascara. But I like you best when you're smiling, of course.
Then you can't like me all that much since I hardly ever smile.
Oh, don't be silly.
Piper waves one hand carelessly. The sleeve of her jacket slips down, revealing the natty old friendship bracelet Arya gave her, but I only catch a glimpse of it before it gets concealed again.
You should know that's not true, Ellie, especially after everything that happened tonight. I like you loads.
Well, I did gather, yeah. I glance over at Dad. Why is he smiling at me like that? He's got to know that something happened. Then murmur, I like you too. Just a bit.
Yay!
Piper flashes me a peace sign, her teeth bright and white.
I thought so, but it's nice to have a bit of confirmation. If only my mother was here, or heck, Campbell and Laurie and the others, they'd never believe it. They don't seem to think it's possible for people to actually like me, but this would prove them all wrong. They don't know what they're talking about.
I find it hard to believe that people wouldn't like you personally. You're such a sweet girl.
Oh, wow! That's one of the nicest things anybody said to me. I can see where you get it from, Ellie.
Get what from?
Your silver tongue, of course. You're just like your dad.
What? Now it's Dad's turn to look abashed. He glances to one side, scratching his cheek with his index finger, and says, I wasn't trying to be suave. I'm no James Bond. I was only saying what was on my mind. I know that your mother gets at you a bit, Piper, but I don't think it's entirely fair. You've been nothing but good to my Ellie during this trip, so I wanted to let you know I appreciate it. And that's all.
Aw, shucks.
Piper grins. She runs a hand through her ginger hair, then says,
If you keep saying that, you're going to make me blush, but that's no good. I've already decided Ellie's the only one who gets to make me turn red. After all...
Piper smiles, a bright smile which makes my heart flutter.
She's the person I like the most. She's special to me. And that's not going to change.
Okay, sure. Once Piper takes her leave, humming to herself as she does, Dad smiles at me coyly. So, Ellie... So what? I reply stiffly, my arms folded. Why are you looking at me like that? Like what? All smug and self-satisfied, like you know something I don't. It's annoying. What? Dad's face falls and he frowns. I wasn't looking like that, was I? You were, just a little. More like a lot. What's the big idea? There isn't any idea, big or otherwise. I was just wondering. I'll bet he was. Here we go. I sigh, bracing myself for the worst. Who wants to be interrogated about their love life by their dad, as he said. Since when did you and Piper get so close? Since we started skipping stones by the shore. I reply more smoothly than I thought I was capable of. My face doesn't even flush, not like it did when Piper was next to me. As it transpires, I can do a pretty good job of pretending to be normal when she isn't around. Who knew? Now she's gone, I can't keep sneaking glances at her from under my false eyelashes. I can't keep sneaking glances. Okay. And my heart can't subsequently start to flutter. It's quite convenient, actually. We had to get a bit close since she was showing me how to throw the stones properly and all. Ah, I see. Piper did mention that. But was skipping stones all you did? Of course not, we also talked a bit. And Piper cried a lot, but I'm not going to tell my dad that. He doesn't need to know. But I don't remember everything we discussed. You weren't expecting me to keep minutes, were you? No, I don't want to pry. That's funny, given this barrage of questions. But I just thought, well, you look very happy, dear. I do. You did when Piper was around. You were smiling a lot, more than you usually do, and I thought I saw you holding hands too. So he noticed that, did he? Well, I guess we weren't being exactly subtle. It made me wonder. Dad's voice trails off. He shakes his head. Then, smiling gently, he says, "Well, it's fine. You don't need to tell me anything, not if you don't want to. You might be my little girl, but you deserve some privacy. I'll try to rein in my curiosity. But remember, Ellie, no matter what happens, I'll always support you. All I want is for you to be happy. And if Piper makes you happy, I don't mind at all if you want to skip stones with her. You have my blessing, not that you really need it. I'm sure you do whatever you want regardless of what I think. You've always been so willful, just like Priya. I just thought you might want to hear it. That's all." Dad. I look at my dad, stunned into momentary silence. I knew he'd accept my feelings for Piper. My dad's views are pretty progressive and he's always been a huge softie when it comes to me. But the tenderness in his voice still makes me feel all teary. All of a sudden, I feel overwhelmed. I sniffle, turning my head away. I thought I was immune to getting emotional now that Piper's gone, but apparently not. Tonight really has been full of surprises. But not in a bad way. I think this might be one of the most special nights I've experienced in, well, forever. My life sure has changed since meeting Piper, but I think it's for the best. It has to be for the best. Otherwise, I wouldn't feel so light. I take a bath after my little tete-a-tete with my dad, like I said I would, and change into my nightgown and slope off to bed. I'm aware, as I curl up beneath the sheets, that this will mark my final day in Skye. I'll have to go back to London tomorrow. But rather than worrying about the future, I feel oddly calm about the whole thing, almost serene. Last night, I was worrying about my relationship with Piper, but it isn't bothering me now. I'm sure things will work out between us. How could it not when I gave her my first kiss? The kiss only happened about an hour ago, but it feels very faint and far away now, almost dreamlike. It's hard for me to register that the kiss really happened. It was all too magical, almost enchanting, like something from a cheesy pop ballad. With one trembling hand, I press my fingers against my lips. I swear, they're still tingling. I lie in my bed. It's a bit weird, I finally started to accept it as my bed, listening to the faint sound of the waves outside as they lap at the shore. When a buzzing on my bedside table makes me turn. Is that my phone? I reach for it, then examine it. Who's messaging me at this hour? It's almost 11. I scan my phone, my brow furrowed, and then... I exhale. It's a text from Piper. Who else? It's the first text she's ever sent me, though we exchanged numbers back during our trip to grey, gloomy Dunscape. The text says, quite simply,
Sleep well, princess. I'll talk to you tomorrow. XXX.
It's a pretty cheesy text. What's this about being a princess? Is that a reference to the way I dress? And yet... I smile all the same. I can't help myself. That seems to be a recurring theme when I'm with Piper, or even when I'm thinking about her. She makes me feel happy like nobody else ever does. Yeah. Now that I think about it, I guess that's why I like her so much. It's hard not to like her. Like my dad so astutely said, she really is sweet. The 6th day. Have an emotional talk on the bittersweet 6th day. Oh dear. Okay, yeah, let's end it here for today. This has gone on a bit longer than I expected, but of course with all those emotions, all the confessions getting out there, you don't want to rush that. Very cute that we have gotten to see that. And I mean, this text is just kind of a reminder also to Ellie what she was worrying about, like how are they going to... Like, that's a way to keep in contact. Long distance isn't ideal, but come on, it's not like you'll never be able to talk again, and it's also not that far away. But yeah, anyway, that was day 6. We're almost at the end. Yeah. That was it from me for today. As always, please let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and until next time, bye bye!